Greetings. I would wish to represent something within the following presentation that is concerned with the aforementioned two components of what I believe concede themselves to one another. The idea that representation concedes itself to presentation, and presentation concedes itself to representations. The reason I would like to pursue this is I find there's this notion that when someone is physically present in a room with you, they are also somehow within their selves also representing themselves mentally and giving ideas about what their concerns are, their illusions, their considerations, their concerns that are sort of a priori notions about how we identify one another in terms of the way we represent ourselves to one another. So the initial consideration is, how do we represent ourselves to one another, where we are concerned with understanding the components of one another's minds before we engage in conversation. For instance, in a room full of people, or simply put, face to face, one person and another person trying to communicate and convey their understanding of one another's observations about things that are very particular to them, and not necessarily about the universe, which is more the area of concern for certain individuals in consideration of the universe vis-a-vis the world, vis-a-vis collectives, nation states. To make that separation between collectives and nation states is another observation I'd like to make in terms of the fact that here in this country, Canada, there is most certainly a power of observation that leads one to believe that the collective and the nation state are two different things. That when someone is represented to a person in a collective, they are part of something that is this notion of universal. So it's this idea of something being universal is concerned with the fact that something be collected, in a sense, into all the similar identities that all concede their particularity to this notion of universality, is what they're essentially doing in these collectives. So they're, as a group, they are forming their identities as collectives and proceeding with actions in terms of how it affects the larger community. And I think that that's something to look at very closely in terms of this country, Canada, and other countries around the world, whereby I won't be specific about what those countries are. I will say that this idea of biopolitical, Giorgio Agamben, this notion of something being biopolitical is the notion that you are contained within your own sort of, onto Heidegger's term, experience, your physical being, but you're a biological being that also has a political motive for the way you interact in terms of the way you are represented to others in those collectives. Once it evolves through the stages of collecting oneself as such, as a subject within the existing collective, where you find your identity is maintained from the standpoint of something that is concerned with universality.